Hey everyone, Joe here. Welcome to Gender Crew Chat. I'm Fridays with Joe, and it is Friday. I made this video yesterday and it didn't upload, so I don't know what the hell. But I've had a crazy week because I'm sick as a dog. I have norovirus. Google it. It's disgusting. It's basically I can't eat. What I eat comes right back out. I've been bedridden for 3 days. I ate, I think, a cracker and some applesauce. Anyway, this week's topic is to combat binary thinking. Gender is often presented as existing on a spectrum between male and female, masculine and feminine. Do you see any limitations to this model? How do you perceive gender? Oh, hi, Stanley. And Eli's here too. Yes, I do see limitations. I do not like the spectrum philosophy because it implies, binary, kind of repetitive, but binary thinking, like just one or the other. And then, sorry, that's not spectrum, that's binary, one or the other. And then spectrum implies some gray area, so black and white and some gray area, or I guess you could say black and white and biracial area, right, in the middle. But usually people gravitate towards one end of the spectrum or the other for, I guess, ease of description. I don't care for it, and I never have, but I also don't like, I'm not 100% comfortable using the word genderqueer to describe myself in certain circumstances. So, like I think I told you a few weeks back, there was a story about how my mom really kind of wanted to out me at a family party. And my family's quite conservative. I have a lot of really like conservative people in my family that just, it's not even worth discussing it with them because they're never going to get it. And I don't care to because we're not friends. We're just family, right? And sorry, I've lost my voice from not speaking for days, but yeah, and the word genderqueer is pretty loaded, so sometimes, you know, it rubs people the wrong way, which I like on occasion, but other times I just don't feel like getting into it. So I wish there was just a word like none of the above. Like I wish you could say you're male, female, or none of the above, or not applicable. That's my favorite one, N/A, not applicable. The limitations to the spectrum imply there are... It kind of reminded me, I was trying to explain socialism to a colleague of mine, and I was saying something about Republicans and Democrats, and I said they're fundamentally the same thing. Now, if you're American and you disagree with me, I'm sorry, but this is from like an international perspective. And if you look, like I think there's a website called thepoliticalspectrum.com or something. If you look, Republican and Democrat fall very closely on the wider spectrum. They're both extreme right, like very right-wing, you know, free market-based economies, and there's some slight variations, I think, in the social spectrum. There's like the economic spectrum and the social spectrum, but basically Republican and Democrat are fundamentally the same thing. And sometimes I think, you know, identifying as male or female is kind of fundamentally the same thing. It just means like you're penis identified or vagina identified, and I'm neither. I'm not genitalia identified. Just like I'm not, you know, on this spectrum of left to right in politics, I'm not economically identified, right? Like maybe I'm more socially, or I think the XY axis or whatever, the Y axis was authoritarian versus libertarian, and the X axis was left and right, which I would assume would be economics. But yeah, so whenever you try and say there's two ways to be, and where do you fall in between those two ways, it's a bit frustrating for people who want to say none of the above. And I know I've listened to a lot of Ricky's videos in the past, and Ricky and I are very much on the same page on this front. It's just not who I am, and it's not how I identify. So that is frustrating, and I'm often forced to pick, you know, to check the F or whatever if I have to pick a box. I've said this before and I'll say it again, I always pick Mr. when I have an option, because I believe Mr. is something that I can define. You know, F is on my birth certificate or whatever, so I couldn't really define that, but Mr. is not something, you can't tell me if I'm Ms. or Mrs., right? So why can't you can't tell me if I'm Mr. either? That's my choice. It's my choice what's the word? Really slow, pardon me. Malnourished or something. You know, when you have the thing at the beginning of your name, the Mr., the Mrs., you got me. Okay, so the bonus question was your gender Gumby, and I did it on my last video, which wouldn't upload, so I'll just try it real quick once again. It's kind of an interesting little picture. Somebody will put the link, I'm sure, below. I'll put the link below. And it suggests that there are 4 spectrums. So much like the XY axis of the political spectrum, there's kind of like a 4-axis depth to who you are. The website's called itspronouncedmetrosexual.com, which is kind of cool. Okay, so the Gumby indicates identity, orientation, expression, and sex. So under gender identity, your options were woman, man, and genderqueer in the middle, and anywhere along that spectrum. I guess I would identify smack in the middle. I identify off that grid, but for the sake of I have no other choices, yeah, sure, I'll pick genderqueer. Halfway between woman and man. And gender identity, of course, is what's in my head. Right? Gender expression, feminine, androgynous, and masculine. I guess I want to say I lean between feminine and androgynous, but closer to the androgynous side. And I know some people would disagree with me because, as you see on this channel, there's tons of androgynous people, and I look nothing like them. I look very feminine compared to a lot of androgynous people. That is simply my hair and my lack of binding, right? Like, so my long hair, I guess my voice, my choice to not augment my voice, other than the fact that I'm sick and I've lost it, but, you know, the fact that I choose to keep my breasts at the moment, I don't like them, but they're there, and I choose to grow my hair long, kind of puts me on the feminine side. However, I don't really wear women's clothing. I don't wear women's glasses. I don't wear makeup. I don't shave. I don't wear heels. Like, all the things women typically do to express themselves as women, I do none of those things. None. Also, my choice of words and the way I speak. I don't think I'm a very feminine person, although some people would disagree with that. However, okay, biological sex. Your options are female, intersex along the spectrum, and then male. And this is an interesting one because I don't think the average person can say for certain what they are. I mentioned a previous documentary that I'd watched some years ago, about a year ago. It was fascinating. It was a British documentary about intersex. And one of the things is you don't know your chromosomes unless you've had them tested. Now, interestingly, I have had mine tested. I actually did something called 23andMe. It's a DNA website to trace your ancestry and to figure out your genetic predispositions to diseases and stuff. It's kind of cool. And when you submit your spit, you spit in a tube, they are able to deduce your matrilineal heritage if you are female, and your matrilineal and your patrilineal heritage if you are male. So as a biological female, and this is how I found it out, that I am XX, I'm a biological female, they were only able to trace my matrilineal heritage, which was my mother's 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 mother, which curiously and fascinatingly is Sami, S-A-A-M-I. It's from Iceland. I descend from like Icelandic peoples, which I just think is so cool. So yeah, I am actually biologically female, although you wouldn't know. No one knows. You don't know that just by looking at me. You don't know what my chromosomes are. That documentary I was talking about explained how you can have like an adrenal problem that suppresses testosterone, because there are various things that make up your sex, right? One is testosterone versus estrogen. One is X versus Y, XX versus XY. One is presence of a uterus versus presence of a testes or whatever. There's a whole bunch of things that make you male or female, and they had a person on this documentary who, sorry, my video is freezing here, who had XY chromosomes, male chromosomes, no uterus, and yet she presented completely female. She had a female body, a female face. She thought she was a girl, and this suppression, something had suppressed the testosterone in her body, and it wasn't until later when they tested her chromosomes that they realized she was male, sexually male, like a male sex, even though she identified as female. And, you know, it was very hard on her because she had to struggle with, you know, having been lied to her whole life by her parents and so forth. Anyway, I'm running out of time here, but I'll say there was a story in Canada, in the Canadian press this week. A woman got kicked out of the Miss Universe Canada pageant because she was not born female. She's a transsexual. And this hit big news because the stipulations of the pageant say you must be a natural born female, which is stupid. And one of the women I was listening to on the news was a trans woman arguing on behalf of this applicant. Said, you know, how do you know that you're a natural born female? You don't unless you get your DNA tested. Like, give me a break. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit, and I agree with her completely. Sexual orientation is another one I don't care for, and I think someone else who did a video this week, it might have been Ricky, said the same thing. Sexual orientation as a spectrum and putting heterosexual at one end and homosexual at the other implies that I have a defined sexuality of my own, or a defined gender of my own, which I don't, because if I were female and I was attracted to other females, that would make me homosexual. But I'm not female. I'm genderqueer. and I'm attracted to men. So that doesn't even fit on that spectrum. So I would have to like put a not applicable next to the sexual orientation spectrum. I guess I appear to be heterosexual. I frequently call myself a gay man trapped in a straight woman's body, which is another way to put it, right? But my sexual orientation, I suppose, can be defined by the types of people I'm attracted to, but it can't be defined as it relates to me, because I don't fall on that spectrum in an easy way. Okay, hopefully this video is going to work, because I think I did a good job of this one. Catch you guys later, and I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.